You're in the middle of something completely ordinary. Washing dishes, lying in bed, walking somewhere alone. And then, without warning, your mind pulls you somewhere else entirely. You're in a conversation that happened 3 weeks ago, saying everything you didn't say. Or you're in a conversation that hasn't happened yet and might never happen. Sometimes the other person says something cruel. Sometimes you finally say the thing you've been holding for months. Sometimes it goes perfectly. Sometimes it falls apart. And then, just as suddenly as it started, you're back. Dishes, bed, street. The scenario was never real, but the emotion you felt during it, that was completely real. If this hidden loop runs in the background of your daily life, the science behind it reveals something unexpected. Not a flaw, not a weakness, a highly advanced cognitive system. A chronic daydreamer faces constant criticism from the outside world. Stop overthinking. Live in reality. But these responses miss something fundamental. Your brain is not malfunctioning when it does this. What you're watching, when your mind plays out those invisible conversations, is one of the most sophisticated psychological systems the human mind has ever developed. It's called mental simulation. And understanding it changes everything about how you see yourself. This isn't overthinking. It is a biological survival mechanism. The human brain has one primary goal. Not happiness, not connection, not success, survival. And one of the most powerful ways it survives is by simulating what hasn't happened yet. When you imagine a difficult conversation before it happens, your brain is running a rehearsal, testing possible outcomes, preparing your nervous system for what might come. Psychologists call this prospective simulation, the brain's ability to generate mental models of possible futures before they arrive. An analytical brain isn't driven by anxiety during this process. It stems from heightened emotional perception. A mind that feels more, prepares more. Here's what that means practically. Before sending a difficult email at work, your mind has already written it 20 times. That rehearsal is the reason you finally got the wording right. Simulating a confrontation 20 times serves to desensitize the nervous system before the event even occurs. The rehearsal worked. The problem isn't the simulation. The problem is when the situation never gets resolved, and the rehearsal never gets to end. Think about the last time you mentally rehearsed a conversation before having it. Not because you were paranoid, because something about it mattered enough to prepare for. That wasn't a problem. That was your mind taking something seriously. Why the human brain hates open loops. The Zeigarnik Effect. Not all imagined scenarios are about the future. Some are about the past. Conversations that ended too soon. Moments where you didn't say what you needed to say. Situations that closed before you had closure. There's a psychological principle called the Zeigarnik Effect. The mind's tendency to keep returning to unfinished things. An interrupted task, an unresolved conflict, an unsaid word. The brain treats these as open loops. And open loops demand attention. After leaving a conversation where you said the wrong thing, your mind replays it for hours, rewriting your response. Not to torture you, to finish what was left incomplete. When someone imagines a conversation they never had, replaying it, rewriting it, finishing it differently, they're not being dramatic. Their mind is trying to close a loop that was left open by someone else. The argument you've replayed 50 times? The thing you finally said in your head at 2 a.m.? That was your brain searching for resolution it was never given. There's probably one conversation in your life that you've rehearsed more than any other. one that never got the ending it deserved. Your mind didn't keep returning to it because you're weak. It kept returning because something important was left unfinished. There is a striking paradox here. This level of intense mental activity, the simulations, the rehearsals, the invisible conversations, almost always operates behind absolute outer silence, the loudest inner lives, hidden behind the quietest exteriors. The psychological toll of emotional suppression. Early experiences can sometimes shape how people learn to process emotions. This behavioral adaptation can develop when expressing feelings felt difficult or unsafe. Stop being so sensitive. You're overreacting. It's not that serious. So the emotion had nowhere to go. The mind adapted. It built an internal space, a private world, where emotions could be processed when expressing them felt difficult. This isn't escapism. This is emotional processing. An individual taught to minimize their feelings naturally constructs an internal sanctuary to process them safely. Here's what's remarkable, and what most people never realize. The same environment that suppressed the emotion accidentally created a more sophisticated emotional processor. The person who was told they felt too much learned to feel everything in private. The suppression didn't remove the depth. It redirected it inward. There's a particular imagined scenario that almost everyone who does this knows. It's not the rehearsed confrontation. It's not the future conversation. It's the one you have with someone who is no longer there. Maybe they left. Maybe you did. Maybe something ended before it could be explained, or understood, or forgiven. And sometimes, in a quiet moment, your mind brings them back, gives them a voice, lets the conversation happen the way it never did. You say what you needed to say, or you finally hear what you needed to hear. It's not a sign that you haven't moved on. It's the mind trying to grieve something that was never given a proper ending. And for some people, that imagined conversation is the closest they will ever get to closure, not because they chose it, because it was the only option they had. They feel emotions before they're real, and that changes everything. The emotions mental simulation produces are completely real, even when the scenario isn't. When you imagine a painful confrontation, your nervous system responds. Heart rate shifts, cortisol changes. Your body treats the imagined threat the same way it treats a real one. This is both the burden and the quiet advantage. The burden. You can suffer from things that haven't happened. You carry the emotional weight of futures that may never arrive. The advantage? When difficult things actually happen, you've often already processed them. You're calmer, less blindsided than the people around you. The person who seems unusually composed during a crisis, who knows exactly what to say, exactly how to respond, they've been quietly rehearsing for a very long time. The most common misconception labels this mind as detached from the real world, that they prefer their inner world because reality is too difficult. In truth, extreme simulation often indicates deep sensitivity to everything around them. They feel reality so intensely, the mind requires additional space to process it. The imagined world isn't a replacement for life. It's a laboratory where life gets examined before it's faced, while it's being survived, and after it ends without closure. The person lost in thought, quietly replaying something no one else can see, isn't less present. They may be the most emotionally engaged person in the room, processing more than they will ever show. If you recognized yourself in this, there's something worth sitting with. The scenarios your mind creates aren't random noise. They're maps. Maps of what you care about, what you haven't resolved, what you're still waiting to say, or still waiting to hear, what your nervous system hasn't been able to let go of.
Your imagination isn't working against you. It's working for you in the only way it currently knows how. The question isn't how to stop imagining. The question is, what is this scenario trying to tell you? What loop is still open? What conversation are you still rehearsing? Because some part of you is still waiting for it to happen.
Sometimes the most important conversation you'll ever have isn't with another person. It's with the part of yourself that's still standing inside the scenario, waiting for permission to leave. This specific psychological profile carries one more distinct characteristic, and it shows up most clearly when something goes wrong. When these people are hurt, and they are hurt, deeply, more than they show, they don't talk about it. They don't reach out. They don't explain. They go completely quiet.
And what happens inside a person when they go silent after being hurt is something far more complex and far more telling than most people ever realize. That's what the next video is about.